I'm so glad to be here today. Thank you, Peter, and my name, Laurence, Vigeant-Langlois. We have been working with the Stanford Innovation Center since the beginning, since its founding in 2012. In fact, we actually launched our first entrepreneurial challenge the day that the Innovation Center was founded. This is a business plan competition on behalf of Sikorsky that we run to interface, incubate small companies where innovation is happening. So today, Peter asked us to come speak about a business challenge that we overcame with innovation and technology. And I wanted to absolutely take the opportunity to talk about some of the things we're doing at Sikorsky inside the walls of the company. If you go back in time, Sikorsky is actually 91 years old, and Igor Sikorsky was an entrepreneur, an inventor, and quite a visionary. And he brought to market the first flying boat. He actually flew himself the helicopter that he developed to become the first commercial helicopter available out there. And actually, he flew the VS-300, which was that helicopter 75 years ago, almost, to this date. Now, his vision was really that helicopters would be able to save lives. And to this date, we're actually measuring as a company how many lives have been saved by Sikorsky helicopters. Would anyone like to take a guess what that number is? For 75 years, and actually the entry into service for the first operator is actually a little later than that. So the number, all right, hey, you're getting closer, but still very, very far out. The number that we count for lives saved by Sikorsky helicopters is over 2 million. Yeah. Now, let's see. Helicopters are very useful aircraft. They have some characteristics that allow them to accomplish missions that nothing else can. And for instance, they're able to hover, which means flying without moving, essentially, in a stationary position to accomplish some of those missions. They have very good handling qualities at low speeds as well. And in the event of an engine failure, they can actually auto-rotate to a safe landing. Now, they also have a low downwash velocity, which means that basically, the rotor is like a fan. It's blowing a lot of air. That air that is blowing actually enables it to be sustained, to generate lift, and to accomplish its flying, right? But you don't want to generate too much of that downwash in order to avoid, for instance, blowing people off the roof that are trying to escape from damages that happened due to Katrina, right? So we recognize that helicopters accomplish very important missions, right? Now, a lot of people would agree that helicopters also are slow. They are noisy. They vibrate a lot. And what we set ourselves to do as a company is to constantly try to replace ourselves before our competitors do, right? And reinvent ourselves. And what we set out as a goal several years ago was to improve the speed of helicopters while maintaining the goodness of what helicopters achieve. And we actually set 4 technical goals to achieve that. To bring the speed of helicopters from about 150 knots, which is under 200 miles per hour, to 250 knots, which is about 300 miles per hour. Giant leap, right? And we wanted to do that while reducing vibrations at those higher speeds and reducing noise at those higher speeds. We also wanted to do that with low pilot workload in a helicopter that could be operated by a single pilot. We also had a non-technical silent goal to grow the next generation of engineers and basically excite them with hands-on projects. So this is what the X2 technology demonstrator was targeting to do. Now, let's go back and ask another question of the group here today. Does anyone know why helicopters don't fly very fast? Anybody is willing to take a crack at it? Go ahead. Absolutely, yes. And I don't know if I can demonstrate that with a microphone, but basically, you're absolutely right. The challenge is a phenomenon called the retreating blade stall, basically. And as a helicopter with a rotor operates, basically, there is an advancing side blade and a retreating side blade, right?
Yep.
And the retreating side blade essentially has to work a lot harder than the advancing side blade as we try to bring the helicopter speed forward. And especially it has to, basically generate more lift. It requires higher angles of attack to do that. And ultimately, there's a limitation that you encounter. And helicopter speeds have been brought to about 180 miles per hour. And that has plateaued for about 40 years. This is what this picture tries to illustrate here. The retreating side blade essentially is not generating enough lift when you encounter that limit. So what did we do about it? What we did was to put two rotors stacked on top of each other in using the same axis, and we call that coaxial. They're rigid rotors, meaning that they don't flap around too much in order to avoid intermashing into each other. And that enabled us, and they're actually counter-rotating. So enabling one side that has this retreating side blade not generating as much lift to be offset by another rotor that is actually advancing, right, on that side, and vice versa on the other side. So that, of course, was accomplished by developing a lot of new technologies. Some of that technology included, of course, the rotor system itself, coaxial, rigid structures that are using advanced composite material that have special airfoils and twist and shape to them. It also involved developing a hub fairing that reduces drag at higher speed, and we managed to reduce drag by 44%, and really leveraging two rotors with one hub and bringing that aerodynamic and drag down, and hence sort of getting the two for the price of one from an aerodynamic perspective. We also developed fly-by-wire system, basically enabling to control the control surfaces with computers in the loop, right? And this advanced fly-by-wire system controls the rotor, the engine, and a pusher propeller at the back. Another thing that really bringing those two rotors together enabled us to do was to get by with no tail rotor, and hence mitigating the hazards that come with a tail rotor at the back. But it also enabled us to put an a pusher propeller at the back that can even increase the speed of the helicopter as it goes forward. And then finally, we developed active vibration control that enables us to mitigate the vibration at the source, reduce the noise, reduce the vibration, lower the pilot workload for a single pilot operation. Now, one of the most important performance impact and development that we managed to do was related to the rotor efficiency. The rotor efficiency can be measured in terms of lift to drag ratio, and conventional helicopters are limited to 180 knots of speed. With the dual coaxial rigid rotor technology, we were able to double that efficiency, that lift to drag ratio. Not only that, but do that at speeds up to 250 knots. So giant leap in this performance efficiency. We were also able to meet, and flight test demonstrated that, all the technical objectives that we set out, including doubling the speed, including lowering the vibration, including at the higher speeds, and then lowering the noise to at those higher speed to levels that are similar to other helicopters. And then finally, this is a measure of the workload as measured by stick input from the pilot, really the fly-by-wire enabled to do the single pilot operation. We also met this silent, non-technical goal that we set out, and that was to grow the next generation of engineers. And some of the younger engineers that worked on X2 are now working on the next generation of product, the S97 Raider, which I will talk a little bit more about in a minute. This is a picture of the West Palm Beach Airport in our development flight test center, where we did 17 of those flights in order to break the speed record and achieve 253 knots. And this was accomplished on September 15, 2010. And I have a little video that actually flight that day. And so you can see some maneuvering at low speed and operating without the pusher prop on and with it on. And then accelerating and actually getting chased by an airplane.
There's the prop.
218, 219.
251, that's pretty much level. 260.
This is Kevin Bredenbeck, our test pilot.
262.
This with lower engine.
Quite amazing here. This is why we all came to work at Sikorsky, is stuff like this.
So this was achieved with lower engine, I guess, requirements than expected as well. So very exciting times for Sikorsky in 2010. And if you look at, okay, speed, you flew this faster, what does it really do for our customers, right? One way to look at it is in terms of terrain that can be accessed in mountainous areas, whether it's for military operations or mountain rescue. And this is a picture of how a conventional helicopter can only access very limited terrain in Afghanistan, for example, versus this new capability that enables you to fly up to 10,000 feet in hot conditions and really access a lot more terrain. With the conventional helicopter, you also have asymmetry in terms of the ability to turn left and right again because of this retreating blade problem. And with the new configuration, we can do a lot more maneuvering with tighter radiuses and less G-loading. Another illustration of how this can be used in missions is really to talk about how increasing speed enables you to double the range and triple the coverage area, whether it's for medevac missions and operating within the golden hour that is very critical for the medical field, or whether it is to have basically engagement time for military missions. The presentation that I gave you today, I actually removed a few words from it, simplified a little bit, but it was actually used in 2011 to present for Sikorsky to win the Collier Trophy, which is the most prestigious aerospace award. And we won this for the year 2010, which was the 100th issue of the award. We're bringing basically helicopter speeds to groundbreaking record levels and improving maneuverability of helicopters. Now you might wonder, okay, so what does Sikorsky do from there on, right? And what we're doing is we're bringing this to closer to commercialization. And we're planning to fly the S97 Raider, which is now a vehicle that not only will do what X2 did in terms of proving the physics, but it will prove the mission. In this case, we're planning to fly it before the end of this year, 2014. We are also proving the mission with the joint multi-role technology demonstration, for which we teamed with Boeing. And this is expected to fly in 2017. And then finally, we're positioning the company for the future vertical lift products that would enter into service 20 years from now. So these are how long the product life cycles that we're dealing with are. But we would have no chance at it had we not done X2 and if we were not working on everything that we're working on today. Now, speed is a big focus area for us. We also have other focused areas where we are really pushing to demonstrate differentiating technology and ways that we believe are ways to create value for our customers. Autonomy is another major area. This is the optionally piloted vehicle and going all the way to unmanned systems and intelligence, where we can help with the operating cost and efficiency and safety of our helicopters in operation. Thank you, and I'd be glad to take any questions.